Hello there and a very good evening. You're with Primetime News. I'm Dasmi Athada for News First, and let's start off with a look at your headlines.
CID officers questioned former President Mahinda Rajapaksa for 3 hours. The Auditor General's statement on good governance. PM says a book can be written about the activities carried out through the good governance government.
The Criminal Investigations Department recorded a statement from former President Mahinda Rajapaksa over the alleged abduction and assault of journalist Keith Noyar today.
Director of the CID, Shania Besekara, and a team arrived at the official residence of the former president, Down Vijay Ramamavathi in Colombo, at around 11:20 this morning. The former president, who had gone out, returned back home at around 11:30 am. Party leaders of the joint opposition, a group of parliamentarians, representatives of provincial councils and local government, and supporters arrived when the former president returned back to his official residence. Investigations revealed journalist Keith Noyar was abducted at night on the 22nd of May 2008 and was illegally detained and inhumanly assaulted before he was set free at around 11:39 pm. The CID had earlier recorded statements from former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa hours.
මට කරු ජයසූරිය කෝල් එකක් දීලා තියනවලු අලහකෝන් කෝල් එකක් දීලා තියනවලු මට දුන්නයි පස්සේ කෝල් එක කීත් නොය නිදහස් වුණාලු ඒ ගැන මොකද කියන්නේ කියලා සර් ඉතින් ඇත්තද ඒ කතාව මට මතක නෑ කෝල් දුන්න දෙන්න තරමට කරු ජයසූරියලා කට්ටිය කතා කරා කියලා ඉතින් මං අහුවා මේ නිදහස් වෙලා යන්නේක වරදක් නෑ ඉතින් මට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ මේවා දේශපාලන උවමනාවන්නේ මේ දැන් මේවා දේශපාලන උවමනාවන් ඉටු කිරීමට මේ කාලේ නොඑක් දේවල් කරනවා ඉතින් එයින් එක ක්‍රියාවලියක් විතරයි මේක පරිගැනීමක් කියලාම හිතන්නේ ඉතින් මේවා තමයි ඉතින් මේ විදිහේ පරිගැනීම් හිර කිරීම සිත් විදවීම මේවා ඇති කරනවා ඒක එයාලට ඒක වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා හිතාගෙන ඉන්නවා නෑ ඉතින් මේක නෑ නායකත්වයේ නොදැනගෙන මේවා CID එකේ නෑනේ මගේ ගාවට සත කරු ජයසූරිය මහතා කෝල් කරාද ඒ සම්බන්ධව මට මතකයක් නෑනේ කරු ජයසූරිය කතා කරන එක ඉතින් එක එක ඇමතිවරු කතා කරනවා හැබැයි මම ඒක හොඳක් තිබුණා කරු ජයසූරිය මට කතා කරලා තියෙන්නේ රෑ 11යි ගානකට 29යි ගානකට 11යි 20ට කියලා ඉතින් මෙයාලා කියනවා මොකද නැහැ ඒක හැබැයි ඒකෙන් පේනවා මම 10ට නිදා ගන්න නැහැ කියලා
It was a joke. If they've got brains, they'll never record a statement from this president. As far as I know, he won't say anything. The biggest robbery in the country that took place was the CBSL bond scam. The main thief of that is now in Singapore. The Prime Minister even attended the wedding of his son. There are more than 50 of those who obtained checks from Arjun Aloysius. Not a single MP was questioned by the CID. A B report was not prepared and presented to courts. In a country of this nature, the CID is questioning the former president. We are waiting to see how far they'll go to break the law.
The Disaster Management Centre says sluice gates of several reservoirs have been opened up due to heavy rains. Its Assistant Director Pradeep Kodipilli said sluice gates of Lakshapana, Canyon, Castledry and Mausakali reservoirs have been opened. He also noted the residents in close proximity to the Kalani River to be vigilant as water levels of the river could rise.
Sluice gates of the Kotmale Reservoir were opened this afternoon as water levels rose. Vehicular movement along the Hatton-Colombo main road was hampered as a mound of earth collapsed in the Stratton area as heavy showers were experienced in the central hills. Police informed drivers to use alternative routes. By noon, steps were taken to remove the mound of earth which collapsed to the Hatton-Colombo main road this morning. Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology says strong showers up to 75 millimeters could develop within the next few hours in certain areas of the island.
We are now joined by Aparna Fernando for the weather forecast.
Very good evening to all of viewers. You're joining me, Aparna Fernando, on Weather First. Let's take a look at the weather forecast for upcoming days. There can be a rise in the rainfall as well as in the windy conditions in the southwest part of the country. Therefore, gusty winds can be expected across the country, and also the wind speed can increase in the coastal areas, especially in the southern sea area. Considering tomorrow and day after tomorrow, there can be showers in Jaffna and Galle as well as in the southwest part of the country. On 20th, though there can be showers in northwestern, western and southeast parts, a favorable weather can be expected in Anuradhapura and Batticaloa. Focusing on 21st, rainfall can rise and spread from Sabaragamuwa province towards the Uva province. Therefore, heavy showers can be expected in Uva province as well as in the Sabaragamuwa province. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for Colombo.
Thank you, Aparna. The worst floods in a century in Kerala have killed 164 people and forced more than 200,000 people into relief camps, with more misery expected as heavy rains pushed water levels higher.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was due to visit the southwest state later today, as its chief minister said he was hoping the military could step up help for the rescue effort, which is already using dozens of helicopters and hundreds of boats. The floods began 9 days ago, and Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan said 164 people had been killed, some in landslides, with about 223,000 people forced in 1,568 relief camps. In some areas, Indian Air Force was pressed into service to airlift flood-hit victims and shift them to safer places. Vijayan also said that he planned to send 11 more helicopters to worst-hit places. Kerala is a major destination for both domestic and foreign tourists in India.
It was organized by the entrepreneurs organization Sri Lanka.
The Entrepreneurs Organization is a global community that enriches members' lives through direct peer-to-peer learning, connections to experts and experiences. The organization comprises of 13,000 members across 54 countries.
Well, I think you know, one of the sort of true characteristics of an entrepreneur is the passion. And I think, you know, if you have the passion for something, I think that's number one. I think we find with most successful entrepreneurs really have to have the passion in what they're doing. We have a competition every year called the Global Student Entrepreneurship of the Year Award. We have a Sri Lanka round where we sort of encourage many entrepreneurs with ideas from schools actually who have ideas to submit applications about an idea they particularly have. We then have a sort of competition where we judge the best idea. It's really not really the best idea, it's more about the entrepreneur themselves. Do they have the passion? Do we feel they have the passion to succeed? And the winner of the Sri Lanka round then goes to the international round, the global round, which next year will take place in Macau. So stay tuned for that.
Udagamana village was declared open in the Kotiagala area in Siambalandua in line with the 3rd year anniversary of the Good Governance government.
This is the 107th model village which has been invested with the public under the Samat 7 Yalipibidanu Udagamana project. Minister of Housing and Construction, Deputy Leader of the United National Party Sajith Premadasa also participated at the event. 93.2 million rupees has been spent on the village, which has 52 houses. The village comprises of clean drinking water, electricity, entry routes and other infrastructure.
I saw recently the former leader rubbing his belly and saying that during his time there was massive economic development. There was development, that is true, but 52% of that development was enjoyed by the rich and elite of the society. When the millionaires were ending up as billionaires through the development activities, what did the 20% of the poor people in the country receive? Only 4% of the national income. We cannot look at economic development.
Ownership deeds were presented to 800 families, Sundara PSL loans were granted to 200 low-income earning families, and wheelchairs were presented to differently abled people.
We will continue to grant the 20,000 rupee allowance we give to pregnant mothers that we started in 2015. We have increased the Samurdhi money that we granted from 1,500 to 3,500 rupees. We have increased the salaries of state sector employees by 10,000 rupees. We have increased the pension benefits. We have increased the salaries of the police. We have introduced the minimum salary of 1,000 rupees to the private sector and have increased salaries by 2,500 rupees. We have done all of this in silence. They ask what we have been doing. I thought of reading this out. I can write a book on this and give it to you for the people who do not know. There were independent commissions established through the 19th Constitutional Amendment. We have made the courts independent. The President or even I do not speak with the Chief Justice. We do not even know where he is going.
Addressing an event in Kuruvita, Auditor General Gamini Vijay Singha commented on good governance.
When compared to other countries in the world, the public sector in Sri Lanka is ranked first when it comes to misappropriation and corruption. So the institute that monitors the misappropriation taking place in the country like this is the Auditor General's Department, and I am the head of this institution. The term good governance we use is now ruined. But there is no problem in the definition of this word in English. The most important feature of the state sector is good governance, and the most important quality of a state sector employee is honesty. I am vested with the responsibility of initiating a program to fulfill and uplift these qualities.
It's been 3 years since the government of good governance was established. However, many question whether those who promised to bring an end to corruption have actually kept to those promises. After the 2015 presidential election, the 100-day government was established, and just weeks later, the bond scam took place on the 27th of February 2015. The governor of the central bank steered the bond auction to favor his son-in-law, and the immediate loss to the state from this scam is over 700 million rupees. A proper calculation has not been made as yet to determine the exact loss to the people of the country when these bonds mature in 30 years. Rather than bringing those accountable to book, the Prime Minister and those responsible in the government took measures to protect those involved in the scam, and this paved the way for another much larger scam to take place on the 29th and 31st of March 2016. The immediate loss from the second bond scam was over 700 million rupees, and the people of this country will have to bear the cost for many decades to come. While the masterminds of this scam are roaming free, the then governor of the central bank, Arjuna Mahendran, remains missing. Not only did they conceal Mahendran, they even had the audacity to implement the Sri Lanka-Singapore Free Trade Agreement that Mahendran intervened to bring about. The group that claimed they will convert the loss-making national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines into a profit-making venture made it an enterprise that has incurred a loss of more than 28 billion rupees, and it is the people who have had to bear the burden of these actions. This is the progress achieved by appointing Suren Ratwatte as the CEO of the company, and he is the brother of Charita Ratwatte, a friend and advisor to the Prime Minister. They have now appointed Ranjit Fernando, who has no experience in controlling an airline, as the chairman of the company, and the only qualification he possesses to run the airline is that he is the Prime Minister's friend. A project was launched to provide tab computers to school students, and the tender process itself was marred with many irregularities. It was the intervention made by the President that put a stop to these attempts. Serious doubt was cast on the free-of-charge insurance scheme introduced for school students as well, due to grey areas in the deals reached for that process. Billions were spent on the importation of dairy heifers for the farming community. No use is made of them, and while many heifers perished, the government during the past 3 years made the advance payment to import another 15,000 heifers to the country. It is now in the open as to how the wife of the Prime Minister's secretary made the order for the payment. Citing the construction of the Central Expressway must be expedited, a $1 billion loan was secured for the third phase of the expressway. This was in fact a commercial loan which carried a very high interest premium. The contract was handed over to a Japanese company, violating all the procurement guidelines in the country. Construction of Phase 2 was given to local firms while the loans were issued from state banks. One of the state banks that provided loans for the construction had also given loans in billions to one of the firms that in fact secured the contract for this project. A state bank had also issued a 10 billion rupee loan for that company, while the executive deputy chairman of the said company is also a director of the bank. Though it was said power plants are to be constructed giving priority to renewable energy during the past 3 years, they have failed to construct a single large-scale power plant. Rather than doing so, they renewed agreements to purchase power from private plants and even messed up the construction process of a 300 megawatt plant in Keralapitia. It is the heads of this very government that urged officials to make a payment of 400 million rupees for these private power plants by deviating from due process. What was done when they said an assembly plant of a leading car manufacturer, Volkswagen, will be initiated in Kulyapitia? They provided a factory for a local enterprise. They made allegations against certain people for maintaining the Dubai accounts during the Rajapaksa administration. However, after coming into power, they sold enterprises to this very individual and granted him tax concessions to construct a massive tyre factory in Horana. At a time when the president of the country is taking decisions for the betterment of the country, what in fact is happening? It is a flaw on the part of the people for allowing a person who only commanded a minority in parliament to be made prime minister just after coming into power, stating there will be an end to corruption. Once appointed as prime minister with no mandate from the people, attempts were being made to curtail the Following the revelations, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe resorted to make various promises to the party. Once when his leadership was challenged, he appointed a leadership council and appointed Karu Jayasuriya as the leader of the council. When the challenges mounted, he pledged to appoint Ravi Karunanayake Sarath Fonseca to the board of vice chairman, but eventually he appointed his close associate Akila Viraj Karyavasam as the general secretary of the party. Such leaders who govern the party and the government with friends and associates were rejected by the people not once or twice but on almost 30 occasions. Unusual attempts are being made to suppress the rising leadership. Vimal Veeravansa was used to criticize Sajith Premadasa in parliament. Sarath Fonseca is criticized, while the political future of Ravi Karunanayake was also destroyed. The people's faith is with leaders like Maithripala Sirisena, Sajith Premadasa, Navin Disanayake, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Harin Fernando and Anura Kumara Disanayake, who are all suited to national leaders and future presidents. But what is happening now is that even when rejected by the people repeatedly, one person is clinging on to power by repeatedly lying to the people. But you can't fool the people. They know that those who are in power and those who are in power are on the same side. The ultimate loser in this game is you, the hard-working citizen.
The Singapore-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement continues to raise questions. Several politicians expressed views regarding the Singapore-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement today.
We have to prepare ourselves for the race now. Producers in our country have a bit of fear for the race. If we are afraid of the race, if we are afraid of the ministers overseas, if we are afraid of the talents of other people, we cannot develop. There is no problem there. We are implementing the agreement now. If there are issues, we must face them in the future. We don't need their approval. We are acting based on the advice of the Attorney General. I have said this a number of times in Parliament. Although the Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade made this statement in Kurunegala today, the controversial Singapore-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement is marred with an array of anomalies. While an observation carrying the signature of President Maithripala Sirisena issued on the 8th of January stated that all future free trade agreements should be in line with the national trade policy that was agreed on by the Cabinet of Ministers in July, Cabinet spokesperson Minister Rajatha Senaratne expressed an entirely contradictory stance.
Sri Lankaවට රජයක් හැටියට තියනවාද ජාතික වෙළඳ ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් national trade policy එකක් තියනවාද අනුමත වෙච්ච පාර්ලිමේන්තුවකට හෝ කවුරු හරි විසින් අනුමත වෙච්ච එකක් තියනවාද එහෙම කියන ජාතික ප්‍රතිපත්ති එකක්වත් නැහැනේ. Although the Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade made this statement in Kurunegala today,
The controversial Singapore-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement is marred with an array of anomalies, while an
Newsfirst has been closely monitoring the developments of the Singapore-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. Stay tuned for more revelations on the ambiguities that surround the agreement.
So many people look up to you as a musician. If there's one piece of advice that you would like to give, what would that be to the up-and-coming people?
I think it would be just to really work hard, go as hard as you can. There's people who could have 100%. I would say, 90% talent and 10% drive and never make it. And there's other people with 90% drive and 10% talent and become the biggest stars in the world. So, it's not just having a talent, it's actually moving and going real hard and making all that happen for you.
Well, we have another icon with us who will be performing tomorrow, and you have been waiting for this. So let's find out, how has it been for her to be here in Sri Lanka, and how has the preparation been?
Well, it's awesome, first of all, to visit a country for the very first time. So it's been a while since I've done that. So I'm excited. I can't wait to perform for the fans, because they've been waiting for 20 years.
That was Newsfirst Joel Outscoon. Sri Lanka's biggest and the first one-day music festival will take place tomorrow at the CRNFC. The Colombo Music Festival 2018 will be an extraordinary night of unique entertainment, with its Caribbean night theme featuring some of the legends of the reggae fusion and dance hall, such as Diana King, Shaggy, Maxi Priest and Big Mountain. What you saw earlier was Newsfirst Joel Outscoon, who spoke to some of them this evening. And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Dasnia Thalda. Good night.